And this first round here that we're seeing here, we have Jerry B, and he's coming off a top 8 from Miami, so this is going to be a very exciting first round right away.
Exactly, 100%. And it looks like Jerry is going to be running a Ruby and Amethyst control deck. So again, we said we're going to see it. We're seeing it right away. And then his opponent, Omar, running the Amber Steel. So right out of the gate, we're seeing the two meta decks get to clash against each other, and we get to see kind of what that's going to look like. And has there been any changes to how they're going to approach each other's decks?
How have you felt about this matchup? This seems to be one of the most consistently common matchups, seeing as it is the top 2 decks. I personally find that Ruby Amethyst has a lot of removal, and that can be difficult for Amber to deal with sometimes. But if Amber gets set up fast enough, it generally tends to kind of overspeed Ruby Amethyst. So it's really going to come down to, can Amber Steel set up really fast, get that lore going, and just remove things. Because if Ruby Amethyst gets too far set up, the big hitters like Elsa and Maleficent Dragon are really hard for Amber Steel to deal with. So we have 2 really good players here, so I'm very excited to see where this first match is going to go.
And it really just depends on how this Amber Steel deck is set up. It looks to be like they're going to be running the Lantern package and not as many of the lower cost characters. So we are kind of leaning more into the mid-range for that. But it does still have the potential for very quick, very heavy ramp with the Styx Rockstar. We are running a couple copies of the Carefree Surfer in there, so that's going to allow us to draw cards late game as well as put a character with a real big booty on the screen. So that's going to be really important, especially as we move into the late game against Ruby Amethyst with such a powerful lineup of cards in the late game.
Yeah, it looks like Jerry running Ruby Amethyst. He's not running Brooms or Mickey in this deck list.
Interesting.
He's going for a lot more removal. We have 4 copies of Dragonfire, 4 copies of Be Prepared, 4 Elsas in this deck.
Ooh.
And we also have, it looks like, Pongo and Goofy, so a lot of evasives as well. 2 Pocket Watch. This looks like it's going to be a much more aggressive strategy than you might normally see for Ruby Amethyst, so that's interesting.
It's very interesting, especially knowing the Amber Steel deck that we're going against is maybe not as quick to the jump, so it may be one of those times where you actually see the Ruby Amethyst deck maybe take an early lead, whereas normally they'll sit on 0 to 3 lore for the majority of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like we have, a lot of the same. I'm noticing also 2 Shield of Virtue here. So again, just going really aggressive. So this should be very interesting.
And with that Aladdin Heroic Outlaw, that's definitely going to be a great combination. One of my favorites, especially if you can get that off at the right time. It can really stall your opponent out and really just kill that momentum where it stands.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we got Jafar Keeper in here as well. So definitely going to be some exciting action right off the bat.
Looks like both players are starting to get their mulligan sorted out. Looks like we're getting the lore counter set up for an extra eye on the count. But we are mulliganing out. Looks like Omar is ready to go to draw his next cards, and then we'll see what we're getting rid of on Jerry's side.
So I see a Dragonfire there. Looks like he is throwing that back. I didn't see what the other card was, but it looks like he might be throwing back 2. So you could draw a Maui off that.
Honestly, getting rid of any unequables in the beginning hand is usually the strategy when it comes out of Ruby Amethyst, so not surprising seeing him get rid of such a powerful removal tool right off the bat, hopefully
Absolutely.
Shuffling it closer to where he can get it again, but you never know. It is sometimes a risk that you have to run.
I'm very curious to see how relevant Hades is going to be in this matchup.
100%.
Yeah, you don't always see that in Amber Steel, and it can be really useful against all the removal that Ruby Amethyst has. It kind of gives you a little bit of a way to get back into the game if they get the removal really fast. So I think that's going to be really nice. It's interesting, though, because it is an uninkable, so it's going to really come down to how these curves end up.
Luckily, with this deck, it doesn't look like we're running too many uninkables. We are running close to that 15-16 mark, but a quarter of the deck, and that's really, you don't want to be going over that. So we are in that realm, but it is very close to, if not over the 15 by 1 or 2. So it is going to be interesting. If you get stalled out with no ink right off the bat, I mean, it's going to spell disaster, 100%.
Absolutely. I end up going into top deck one quite a bit with Amber Steel. So it looks like turn 1, we're just going to have an Archimedes here on Jerry's side. Going to ink the Be Our Guest, and then we have a Captain Hook. A nice, simple 1-drop here for Amber Steel.
Now, when it comes to these early plays, I know it doesn't seem like, quest this one, maybe hold it off, but these early plays, I can tell you right now, are going to determine who wins the game, because 1 or 2 lore usually is what this matchup comes down to.
Yeah, we got a Shield of Virtue here on turn 2. All right, going to ink the Simba, and then we have a Lantern out for Stitch. Ooh. This is potential. Does he have the Rockstar? I didn't see if he has the Rockstar in hand.
I don't think he does, but it might be hiding back there. But if he is able to top deck that Rockstar, that's going to be a huge play.
Turn 3 Stitch Rockstar almost guarantees you the win most of the time. So we'll see what happens here. Going to just play a Maleficent, draw off that, and pass.
Not able to do too much on that turn, really just trying to develop a little bit of board save, also replenishing his cards. I haven't seen if he has a Friends on the other side, but it's likely he's trying to use the Maleficent to sting that. But right now, he's really going to have to just hope that he doesn't have that Stitch Rockstar, because if he does, it's going to be rough.
Inking the Big Tink here on Amber Steel.
Double Lantern.
Double Lantern, all right. And we got Ariel's Spectacular Singer here.
It was a really good play.
Will we get the Whole New World is the question, and it looks like a whiff.
I actually think he might have the Whole New World in hand.
Okay, that's even better. Yeah, we have like a lot of good cards here in Jerry's hand. We got the Pocket Watch, we got Maui. So next turn, if he doesn't have a way to deal with that, it looks like he did draw a Dragonfire off the top, but we're only at 4 ink, so fortunately it might be a little too late here for Jerry. Does he have another form of removal? Looks like he's going to play the Pocket Watch. So we do have Rush.
He's got a great setup for that Heroic Outlaw play. If Omar is able to play that Whole New World and he's able to grab a Heroic Outlaw, that would actually help him out quite a bit.
Yeah, because if we get he does have the Whole New World in hand. So if he sings that here, we will have all those awesome cards in Jerry's hand going to the discard. We got the Fire the Cannons as well to get rid of that Maleficent. Yeah, absolutely.
Those 3 costs that can sing the Friends on the other side, you don't want to give him any chance to try to have any kind of card advantage on you, especially when you're kind of controlling the amount of cards in the game with the Whole New World.
Yeah, it looks like we got a Maui, a Be Prepared, and a Dragonfire all discarded off that Whole New World, so that's a very good one here for Omar.
I think I might see a Stitch. Yep, I do.
And the Stitch Rockstar next time.
Oh, you love it.
This is not looking pretty.
That's going to be a big play. Oh, the Fire Cannons. Oh, my gosh. He is destroying that board right now. He's going to turn sideways, and he doesn't have any ink left to play anything, so he's just going to turn sideways and pass the turn.
4, it looks like, because he quested with both. So we're talking 4-0 now for Omar.
4-0, but also 4-0 against an empty board, and with Ruby Amethyst. I mean, that really, the momentum is completely killed in the beginning game. He's gonna have to bring it back. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so, Maui will do it. That's what I was gonna say. Oh, that's perfect.
That is a really good top deck there for Jerry.
Great
letting him get right back into the game. That's gonna be hard for Omar here to deal with. He would probably trade with the Hook, I'd have to imagine. But it's going to be interesting to see what response we have here. It never feels good necessarily to a Whole New World against Amber Ruby, excuse me. You're just fueling them a lot of the time, but it's going to be interesting to see. We got the Beast. Which item is he going to get rid of here? I would think maybe the Pocket Watch.
I would say either one's good, honestly. Yeah. But the Pocket Watch eliminates a big amount of constant threat. He's going to choose the Shield of Virtue. All right, that is a good one, because the ability to ready your character after they've been exerted, keeping them safe for another turn, that's huge.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see. Okay, we got the Simba Protective Cub coming in here, but he's not exerted.
I wonder if he meant to not exert it, if it's going to be exerted in a moment. It looks like he's going to choose to keep it unexerted.
That's an interesting choice with the Pocket Watch in play. You want to keep your Ariel for the singing if you can. Maybe he's thinking it's not as important because he has the Beast in play, which can also sing. But
it's very true. The Beast is a 5, so any of his songs in his deck he's going to be covered on. So that is a good point. I do think the Ariel does still have a whole lot of value. I personally would have probably put the Simba in protective mode, but
I would have too.
That's one of the beautiful things about watching these games unfold, is like they'll do moves that maybe I didn't see, and right there, that's why, because that Ariel's gone now, and now I have the extra Simba. But when I would have rather had the extra Ariel. So we'll see how that plays out for him as he goes into this next turn, readying up his ink. Looks like he's at 5 ink in the inkwell right now.
Inking the Simba Protective Cub.
All right.
We got the double lantern here with 2 ink, 4 Hades.
Oh, is he going to bring me the Rockstar? He's deciding on who he wants right now. It's a tough choice between the Rockstar and an Ariel. He does go with the Ariel.
He does go for the Ariel. I'm curious then if he might have some swords or Whole New World in his hand.
Another Whole New World would definitely help him, but again, he brought it up earlier. Oh, I did see.
Yeah, he did have this grab your sword.
Swords. That's going to be a good play then. But with the Whole New World, it's kind of hard for him to. I personally run a version of Omar's deck myself, and when it comes to the Whole New World strategy, it can very much bite you in the butt and make it harder for you in the end if you're fueling the tank of your opponent, who might necessarily not have those tools or to replenish their reserves as much.
So it looks like he traded the Beast into the Maui and quested with the Simba here, going to 6th lore.
Going to keep the lore lead as we go into this next turn, which is pretty good, but I definitely know playing as Ruby Amethyst, they don't really start kicking it on until, the next turn.
Looking at Jerry's hand there, that is pretty brutal. You got 2 Be Prepareds and an 8-drop Elsa in hand. And that's the thing, once Ruby Amethyst kind of gets set up here,
there it is,
once you have the Be Prepareds in play, it's really hard for Amber Steel to come back here. So it's going to be... These turns are going to be imperative for Omar's game here.
It's going to be one of those times, a Whole New World at this point is kind of almost going to be necessary to kind of get back into it because we're so far away.
Looks like he did get it off the aerial.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. If he pulls it now, it's going to be a good time to play it soon with the amount of removal that's in the hand of his opponent right now. But it definitely is going to be one of those things where he's probably going to want to get the value out of grab your swords first, so we probably won't see that Whole New World for a couple turns.
Yeah, it looks like there's actually 2 additional Be Prepareds in Jerry's hand right now, so that would make it 3 total. And that's the second Elsa?
Oh,
man. His hand is just stacked right now, but he has to be sweating a little bit, knowing that Whole New World is in hand.
He's going to ink a Heroic Outlaw, it's a big card. He's going to play an Elsa, an even bigger card.
Brilliant, tapping down his singers, but again, there's nothing keeping Omar here from just manually playing Whole New World with 5 ink, so we shall see what he decides to do here. Double Lantern.
2 ink.
So
3 ink.
3 ink.
Oh, we just
4 ink.
Oh my gosh.
So playing a 7. We have
we got
Surfer Stitch.
All
right, that's a pretty good card. Going to draw some cards off that.
Prolong the need for that Whole New World, which is good. All right.
Now, if you're Omar here, what do you think that you're hoping for most?
Honestly, I feel like he's got a pretty good setup with that grab your swords and the smash. I mean, I don't know if I would really need anything other than that at this point, because he's going to be able to, when that Elsa swings, he's going to be able to handle her and then still have stuff on board. So he's got a pretty good setup right now, especially with that Whole New World and the Rapunzel to draw cards off damage. I mean, honestly, what do you think? I think he's looking pretty pretty.
Yeah, I mean, the second Elsa, this is just brutal, man. Yeah, I think really, I mean, grab your sword. I mean, that willpower level on Elsa is pretty tough. It's 6, so it's tapping down Surfer Stitch. You might have had a chance before, but I think this is not looking great for Omar. Once Amethyst Ruby gets to this point, it's really hard to come back. And knowing what we know that Jerry has in hand, it's
100%
going to be real interesting to see how this goes.
Yeah, he's got 6 lore on board. If he chooses to quest, he could do that, then be prepared, and then still have a full inkwell to be able to just completely, to really control the game. I mean, the name of the deck really shining true right now, Control. It is doing exactly that.
Yeah, and I don't think we've seen a single Dragonfire from Jerry yet, actually.
He's got full removal when it comes to Dragonfire.
And he is playing the 4 copies. He's got 2 Rafikis in there. We got 4 dragons. So I
believe one of them was lost on a Whole New World earlier, and they could have possibly had another one's in there. But yeah, we have at least 3 for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. The first Whole New World we did lose 1.
Okay.
Let's see what Omar has here. Gonna play the aerial.
Okay. What's he hoping for here? You think a double grab your sword's probably gonna be the biggest play he could do?
Yeah, I think he already has the 1, but it looks like it is gonna be a whiff, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not good luck here for Omar.
Another great thing we're hoping to see out of future sets is just more songs, giving Ariel more chances to hit, because sometimes when she doesn't, man, it's brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. We thankfully, it looks like there's going to be some pretty decent options coming up. Okay, so we got 3. Got the triple lantern.
Oh my goodness. He's got the whole array of lanterns. He's doing the whole show himself.
There's a lot of ambiance going on that side of the fort. All right, looks like he's just going to pass, unfortunately.
It does. He has a lot of options coming up, but there's also so many from his opponent, too, with those 2 Elsas on the field. That Stitch doesn't look as beefy when you got 2 4/6s staring down at you.
Now, I think this is actually a really good choice by Jerry to play so many evasives. We have, like I said, we have 3 Pongo, 3 Goofy, so that's 6 right there. Really, I mean, even with Surfer Stitch out on the board, a couple of those, it might just be game over.
And we haven't even seen any of the evasive characters come out, and there's definitely a room to play multiple in the same turn, so, I mean, that could honestly seal the deal for sure.
We're already seeing 2 quests here from his Elsas tying the lore race with Omar. Not even going to worry about that Surfer Stitch. There's really no need to.
Speak of the devil, we got that Pongo, so we are seeing our first evasive coming out. That's gonna, again, there's so much that it's gonna be hard to answer right now. It's gonna be interesting to see what he's able to do. He still has that grab your sword, so we're probably gonna have to see that make its play soon if he's gonna have an opportunity to get through those Elsa big bodies.
Yeah, I mean, double grab your sword could actually be really good for Omar here. We're looking at Jerry's hand. He just has a bunch of Be Prepareds right now, so if he can find a way to board wipe, that could give Omar the open to get back into this game. So it looks like he is going to trade into the Elsa for... I'm sorry, not trade, but he's going to take 4 damage there. That 8 willpower, 4 Stitch coming in handy for sure. Again, that evasive Pongo, though, is going to be an issue.
100%. We don't really have much removal, but in hand we actually do have a smash. So luckily that Pongo is not as much of a threat. I'm sure he has a plan for the pooch.
Yes. Okay, looks like we're gonna heal off with Rapunzel, so that's a really good choice right there.
It was interesting that we didn't get a kill on the Stitch. We just got the damage off it. You would think that if you would initiate that much damage going against a deck has a healing card draw property, probably a better idea to remove the threat altogether and not give them that opportunity.
Did he get the second swords? I can't tell from his hand right away. But also another big option could be simply that smash plus big tank. Take care of Pongo that way right away. And then Elsa's going to be at 3 damage.
There it is.
There's the swords.
Looks like he's going to be playing that outright. And then he's going to use the aerial to take out the Elsa. That's a big play. That's what I would have done the same thing. I think it's a good move. Definitely using the Inkwell and also using the character. I think you got plenty of value out of aerial taking out definitely a more powerful princess than herself. A little bit more powers at her disposal than old Ariel.
All right, Jerry's simply going to quest here with the Pongo, go to 8 lore, and then it looks like he might have drawn. Is that a Friends on the other side?
Not 100% sure.
Oh, it's a Jafar.
Oh, and then we got the Be Prepared.
So
that was a good time to use that. That board was getting a little out of control.
Absolutely. Still, though, I think Omar is in a pretty good spot here. Actually, he's kind of stabilized a bit. That Surfer Stitch and Rapunzel combo was just really powerful.
Yeah.
Jerry's stalling out a little bit here with how many cards he has in hand. So that Jafar's not even going to be super powerful either, with a low hand count.
Yeah, 100%.
Curious to see what Omar plays here. Gonna lantern out a Stitch New Dog.
I think that last turn before that Be Prepared, we were able to get that Pongo 2 lore. He was able to quest off 2 lore before he did that. So that's going to bring his lore up to 8 and Omar's to 6.
Yes. Drawing off the Simba. Smashing the Rafiki. Nice play.
Great. Definitely a good move. And a Hades.
Hades, personally, I find that his uninkable and 4 cost is a little bit clunky sometimes, but when it hits, it is such a good card in this deck.
Especially with this deck, the way that he has those high-level cards that normally you only get that one play out of, and then it's done. It's almost more beneficial to you at that point to play your Surfer Stitch knowing he's going to be taken out and put into the discard pile, so that way you can play him again. You get the extra card draw, and then boom, Big Boy Stitch is back on the field.
Yeah, he immediately got that Surfer Stitch right back, and he's going to draw 2 off of them unless we see the next Be Prepared from Jerry, but Be Preparing these little guys is not necessarily going to feel the best.
Especially because you've already used 2 Be Prepared. You only have 2 left. you really at this point there you can't be as light with. Speak of the devil, he's got no other choices, as what I'm assuming from that, because of the low hand count.
And Jerry is officially in top deck mode here, unfortunately. And suddenly this game has really swung back around. That shows the power of Amber Steel songs. And the Hades again, and now he has the infinite combo.
That's brutal. That is one of the better combos you can see out of the late game Amber Steel, and most people are just not running that Hades because it's uninkable, because it just feels, like you said, clunky and just not as great. But this move, this combo right here, this is what you should be looking at when it comes to the Amber Steel song deck, because that is such a powerful play, because you're looped at that point and you're pretty good to go.
And now we're going to see the Surfer Stitch next turn, and then the pressure's really going to be on for Jerry to do something here.
Omar checking out the deck, seeing what he has gone through already, seeing that a good amount of removal, some heavy hitters, a couple Mauis, a couple Elsas. He definitely
3B prepared to this point.
100%.
And so he's simply going to quest the Rafiki, go to 9, and then just going to trade him with the Hades. Again, that infinite combo is just really strong here. I'm sure we'll see the Surfer Stitch.
Gonna tap all 3 lanterns.
That triple lantern is also just crazy.
So much power
we
behind
got the Rockstar Stitch shifting in. Okay.
Shiny Rockstar shit. Look how good that looks. That's a good foil right there.
And we got Big Tank. Not damaging anything, but like
we are officially go by 4.
That brings Omar to 10. So we now have Jerry's now on a 2-turn clock. Looks like he did draw the Dragonfire. But knowing Surfer Stitches in hand, and it looks like a whole new world as well, like this might be a little too late.
He is going to play it, though. He's going to take out the Rockstar, for sure the better play there. And he's going to play the Jafar, but with almost no...
I think he has 0 power right now, right? Yeah, he has no...
The Jafar has a starting power of 2 with a Challenger of plus 3. Challenger based on the amount of cards
in your hand.
Yeah, so
which is 0 at the moment.
So he's just going to be the plus 2. He'll be at plus 3 when it comes next turn for him to use it. Playing another Stitch Rockstar from Omar, a Stitch Surfer from Omar, getting the card draw. There's so much replenishment coming out of Omar that it's really hard for Jerry to handle that amount of cards and being able to have that many options this late a game when he's down to such little options.
I mean, you really just got to kind of pray for the 4th, be prepared here, really. I mean, I don't know what else you can kind of do.
Yeah, that's it.
It didn't look like he drew it, though. What did he draw? Thinking through if there's any way, because we don't have lethal on board yet. We only have six lore on board for Omar.
We have the Queen. He's gonna go ahead and get 2 lore from Jafar, and I think he's gonna pass the turn right there. So that's gonna put 2.
That'll put him at 19.
Okay.
If he quests with everything.
Perfect. So that's, I mean, very rarely are you going to have a time when you are ahead, you get to 19, and you're not going to win the game. It's going to be a really tough battle.
I will say, if there's one deck that can do that, it's probably Ruby Amethyst, but 100%. In top deck mode, it's not where you want to be for that.
You want to have a little bit more of resources in your hand to be able to make choices, for sure. It looks like he's going to go ahead and do the quest out, put the Rapunzel. He's going to have full removal.
Drawing off the Maleficent. Does he have anything? And nope, that's going to be game 1 going to Omar and Amber Steel. Man, Surfer Stitch and Rapunzel really kind of stabilizing him. We at one point had 3B prepared in Jerry's hand, 2 Elsas that both hit the field, and it still was simply not enough. Amber Steel is just crazy.
That was a great show out for both decks, but really strong showing for the first match coming out of the Amber Steel song. Not only using one whole new world and still having, from the most part, we are talking 3 to 5 to 6 cards in hand, options for days. I mean, that is a strong deck with how it was structured, and that Hades combo really strong in the late game. One of the few times that I've seen that, and that's I love to see stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you said, that Hades combo was like really what got Omar across the finish line there, getting that Surfer Stitch back right at the end when he was at 19 lore, needed it, and really getting around those be prepared. Like I said, those Hades are really great counter to all of the removal options that Ruby Amethyst has. So
100%.
Gonna be curious to see in game 2. Also, with Ruby Amethyst being much more of a slow deck, it's even harder to win on a game 3 for Ruby Amethyst. So, gonna see where this goes. Really excited to see how game 2 shakes out.
100%. And I think the other thing that I thought was pretty interesting is we saw a fair amount of evasive and smaller characters in Jerry's deck that didn't get as much play, and I wonder if he's going to switch that strategy up. It seems like his deck has the potential to possibly go a couple different directions, and maybe seeing that the Omar is playing a little bit more of a mid to late game version of the deck, that might be something that he tries going into this next one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be curious to see which option they choose if we see any gameplay switches. Looks like, was that no mulligan from either side? Interesting. We're going to ink the Jafar.
Confidence in the hands is amazing. Oh, just kidding. We are getting some mulligans out of Omar right now. I was like, he is inking quite a lot for the first play. Looks like he's going to go ahead and take 3. Looks like we're taking 3 from Omar, and I don't think Jerry is going to take any. I think he's keeping his hand, and I believe he's already established his first ink. So
yeah,
I think we're going to be
that
going
was the
into
confusion
Omar.
there.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we got ink of a Jafar on Jerry's side, and then we're finishing the mulligan here on Omar's side.
And as a side note, just real quick, I will say that Jerry's sleeves are pretty nice. I'm liking the character on there. It looks
Super
like
cool.
It looks like an orchestra Mickey Mouse. It is a very cool print.
Gonna ink Simba, play Simba, and draw and discard off of him.
Tough choice on what we're going to throw away. There's a lot of good options at hand.
I see a lot of uninkables in Omar's hand here, which is going to be interesting.
Oh. Is he going to do that Captain Hook? That's what I would throw away. And there it goes. All right, perfect. That honestly, with having such low ink amounts and that play not really seeming like it's going to be needed, as this deck isn't as Jerry's deck isn't as lore heavy or quest heavy. I don't think Captain Hook is really going to be a great play at any point during this matchup.
Absolutely. And we see the Gaston hit the field. He is a really great counter to a lot of the early plays that Amber still has. That 4 power is really annoying to deal with. Protective Cub, Hook, anything like that, just going to be taken out right away by that Gaston. We do see a turn 2 Lantern, which is good for Omar. Going to be curious to see if he can kind of repeat what he did last time with just the horde of lanterns.
Yeah, that triple group of lanterns really just made a huge difference in his gameplay, allowing him so many more options with his ink.
Okay, going to see Friends on the other side. Always got a great card on turn 3. Really kind of just waiting it out as Amethyst Ruby does.
All right, and if you're just now joining us, this is our second matchup of our first round. We have Jerry B and Omar V. Jerry is again playing that Ruby Amethyst, and Omar is playing that Amber Steel. Omar won the first match, and Jerry here is hopefully going to have a little bit more luck going into this next one, as he didn't have quite the draws he was hoping for.
We have a Magic Mirror, which is really, really helpful for this matchup. If you get to that end state where you're in top deck mode like we saw last game, that card can completely just pull you right out of it.
100%.
And we see Beast, and it immediately removes it. So.
Oh my goodness, that's got to be tough. You don't even get a chance to use it once. That's why a lot of times you'll see these players, they'll actually hold onto that Magic Mirror until they have 6 ink. So that way they can at least play it for 2 and then exert it for the 4 and get some value out of it. It's very rough to see it go away so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see a Maui, though.
Again, not getting much value out of any of his plays right now. It's a little rough for Jerry starting out. That Maui, the big benefit to him is being able to rush him out. But now he's there. He's threatening. Anything that twists sideways is going to most likely be taken out. He has the chance to protect it with Simba, but with Gaston in the field, even that's not going to be enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for those who are just joining, we do have over 50 people in this tournament, so there's going to be 6 rounds of Swiss. This is going to be a nice long tournament. It's going to be interesting to see. He does play the Hades and grabs the big hook out of the discard. That one use of hook in that situation that can be really useful is against something like a Maui.
100%, definitely. And I don't know if I wonder if he chose it because he wanted it, or it might have actually been his only character in his discard.
Yeah, it might have just been he wanted to play the Hades, get a body down, and it's better than not picking anything.
Yeah, some value is better than no value for sure.
Double Maui here from Jerry. Really putting a lot of work into removal here.
Yeah, that's rough. Both Maui's out at the same time, and on characters that are, I mean, the Beast is a little chunky, but for the most part, these are fairly small characters, and they have the ability now to take out both Maui's with, again, just a Simba taking out a Maui. That's huge for a Simba. That's big value.
Now, as I was mentioning before, it looks like Omar is missing ink drops here because of how many uninkables he has in hand, and that can be really a problem against a deck like Ruby Amethyst. We're getting towards the point where we have to start worrying about Be Prepared and Dragonfires every turn, and being on 3 ink, even with the 2 lanterns, that's not a fun situation to be in.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. But the lanterns do help, and that's something that we're seeing. It's clearly a big part of Omar's strategy and gameplay is to get those lanterns out to be there to back him up in those situations. But it really stifles him because right now, luckily, he's able to grab your swords with the hook, which is a great play. Able to get both Mauis out with one. That's a huge grab your swords.
And that's probably another reason why he played the Hades for him. For sure. But yeah, like I'm looking at his hand. He has a Rapunzel, which is inkable, but and he just has a couple songs. Like, that's the risk of playing even more uninkables with Hades is in things like Captain Hook. The songs are already such a big part of this deck and are all uninkable that you can sometimes run into a stall situation like this. Last round, we saw it work out in his favor for playing the Hades, and this round, we're seeing the dangers of it.
Yep. 100%. And again, with the amount of uninkables in his deck is pretty high to that 15 plus mark, so we're not very surprised to see him run into that little bit of an issue, and he probably has those lanterns in there to mitigate that because of that.
Gonna see a queen here from Jerry. So he says, you got rid of my magic mirror, but no problem, I'll still be able to draw cards. But that hook is really gonna kind of be a counterbalance to that too. Like, Hook's actually putting in a lot more work than I might have originally thought.
100%. I agree with that because the hook is, and again, it's one of those underplayed cards because he's running the 1-cost Captain Hook. It's a shiftable target for that hook, so he's only running, I believe, 2 copies of the hook, and I think that's enough to warrant him.
It looks like he might actually only be playing the 1.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so the
one
copy, and just the 1 copy to have one doing that much work. I mean, that's pretty good. It's a good one-of to throw in there.
Yeah, for sure. And he's going to Dragonfire away that hook. So another big thing was the ability to sing those songs like A Whole New World. Now we really have no way to play it without the 5 ink. That's another thing to keep in mind is Omar's really going to have to struggle to find. It looks like he drew a Surfer Stitch. I would probably ink that in this situation unless he wants to ink the Rapunzel and then pray for an inkable next turn and then use the lanterns to get Surfer Stitch out there, draw some cards that way. But I think Whole New World here might just be a better option.
Yeah. A 3rd lantern again. Back-to-back matches getting all 3 lanterns out. That's a great play, really helping his ink situation out character-wise, but again, the issue being it's more than just characters we want to play with that ink.
Absolutely.
And he's going to go ahead and looks like he's going to pass the turn.
Still on 3 ink. This is what turn is this, like 10?
This is a lot to be that. I mean, especially going against a deck like Ruby Amethyst to be at 3 ink. Again, 3 lanterns is great, but 3 ink total against this monster amount of inkwell that you have to deal with that's going to be coming up. That's going to be an uphill battle for sure. I probably would have inked the Rapunzel and relied more on a Whole New World to get me out of that situation, but I don't think he wants to refuel Jerry in any way.
Now, we are seeing the Surfer Stitch here for Omar, which is good. Going to let him draw a couple more cards, but we know that Jerry has the Be Prepared in hand. So it might, unfortunately, not be able to be super impactful.
100%. That Be Prepared is always something that even if your opponent is playing around the threat of it, it's threatening. You know what I mean? Even if you don't even have it in your hand, it can still be causing a change in gameplay. I know when I play against Ruby Amethyst, I'm always worried. You know, Scar's on top of a mountain ready to sing at me hardcore.
So it looks like Omar's going to quest with the Hades and the Simba, bringing him up to 9. And then that's about it. So we are going to see Gaston trade into Simba here.
Going to draw a card off the queen.
Does he play the Be Prepared is the question. Depends, I guess, how much he's threatened by that Surfer Stitch, because he might also have the Dragonfire. In that case, there's really no need. It looks like he does.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I just saw it. So he's probably not worried about the Stitch right now. Going to let him get the 2 lore off of him if needed, and we don't even know that he's going to quest with the Stitch. He might not want to give him that opportunity with that Maui on the field.
I think he did just quest with the Rafiki, so he's going to be at 1 lore here, Jerry. And then just passing, I guess, yeah.
Now, I do appreciate Jerry putting that dice on top of his cards. Let us know that that is his hand, not his inkwell.
Yes, that's been a common problem for this game. Definitely finding some kind of Kind of like when a lot of times when people play games like poker, they put like some kind of protector on their hand, something like that. It was definitely a good idea for this to not confuse it with the inkwell, because once that gets messed up, that's really hard to fix.
And it's happened so many times where you just don't think about it, and then, oh my goodness, which one was which? Did I ink this turn?
We got a big tink here from Omar, so he's going to get quite a bit of removal on Jerry's side, but I'm sure we're going to see it be prepared here very shortly.
And looks like he's deciding if he wants to do it now or if he's going to wait. But realistically, he needs to get control of this board again. He's 8 lore behind, moving into these later ends of the turn. This is when he's really going to probably start to kick it into high gear. Pulling out decent amount of ink, probably 7-4. Yep, there it is.
There it is.
Be prepared.
And now Omar really is kind of with his back against the wall. I mean, he has the Rapunzel to ink, and then he has the Whole New World, but doing that this late in the game does not feel good against a deck as strong as Ruby Amethyst. That's once it's set up, it's really hard. We do have the triple lantern like we did last game, but I think it might not be enough here.
He's going to put out the Stitch and get the draw off the Simba, and then he's going to choose to get rid of a Whole New World. He is not going to get his opponent any more fuel.
This is a very interesting choice. Getting rid of the Queen. He does have the magic mirror, though, so he really kind of needs another beast, or really any kind of stall tactic is not going to work out for Omar.
There's that Dragonfire he was holding.
And that is the beauty of the control deck right there.
Just when Omar gets a little bit of the ground, or a little bit of a grip underneath his feet, another slip to happen. Looks like we're going to be playing or inking a Rapunzel. Now we're finally getting up to the point where we have a decent amount of ink in the inkwell as well as the lantern, so options are getting to be a little bit more plentiful. Now we have the Be Our Guest.
Yeah, we got the Surfer Stitch and the Big Tink in there, so you probably pick the Surfer Stitch here, I'd have to think, but is he going to go for the Simba?
That's an interesting choice. I would go for the Surfer Stitch for sure as the card draw, just to get a little bit more advantage in the situation. He's going to go for the Simba. He wants to be able to play what he grabs right now. Wonder what else he has in his hand to make that a viable choice.
All right. So I'm thinking maybe he just needs something to ink, get some fodder, something.
So he had another Rockstar in his hand. So he wants to be able to get the card draw off the Rockstar. That makes more sense.
Yeah, that makes way more sense. Didn't realize he had that in hand. And then also he probably just wants some way to overcome like a Rafiki or anything like that on the off, and we just simply see the Be Prepared.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, this is the beauty of Ruby Amethyst. Once it's set up and going, it is unstoppable. It's been the top deck since the game first came out, and
he's got so much ink, it's literally flying off the table. It's an impressive amount of ink, that's for sure.
It's very interesting to see the dichotomy between these first two games.
Yeah, it's pretty, and again, that's why I personally think best of threes are the way to do tournaments and are a much more enjoyable thing to see, because that one of rounds are pretty tough when you just have a bad hand, you know what I mean? And we're seeing that, Jerry last time, almost no fuel in the tank as we get into these later rounds, top decking and having a really hard time, and now we're playing 8-drop Mickey, Brave Little Taylor, huge card. He has the ability to draw more cards with the mirror, ability to choose his cards with the cauldron. He is set up.
Yeah, I was going to say that cauldron, especially that plus magic mirror, is a pretty deadly combo, especially with this much ink at his disposal. Mickey is evasive, so really, unless Omar has a way to deal like double swords, he has no real way to deal with this Mickey Mouse. And even though he's 8 lore ahead, I think this might be his end here with Mickey on the field. That's you don't see every deck playing Mickey, but it looks like he actually plays 2 copies, Jerry, in this deck. It's kind of fallen out of favor a little bit. It's not in every list. If it is, it's usually a one of, but I mean, 4 questing with evasive and a 5 willpower
100%.
Stat line is like, that's not easy to overcome.
I definitely think that the main reason it's not used is because people have a hard time of consistently getting up to that higher ink, and then there's other cards like Elsa that are really, speak of the devil, we got Elsa right there.
Yeah, off that Friends, he drew an Elsa and a Dragonfire, so that's pretty nasty. So.
And most of the answers that Omar has have already been used, or the combos have been nullified a little bit because most of his rock stars are gone now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really going to be hard to answer.
So if you're Omar here, like, what are you hoping for? Do you have, like, I I mean, Elsa and Mickey Mouse have such high willpower. Like
A fourth lantern.
Man, he's really putting out that ambiance.
It's like a seance going on over
Yeah,
there.
for real.
Looks like he has, in his hand, he does have a whole new world. I don't see that helping him right now too much, but I don't see him having much
If
more
anything, that would
option
probably
either.
help Jerry at this point.
Exactly.
Like, that's the double-edged sword of Whole New World. Is like if it gets used too late when you're too far behind, it's basically helping your opponent as well.
And I think that when we see the later sets come out where that, drawing cards can also punish your opponent a little bit more, I think that'll be better. But right now, yeah, it's such a risky gamble.
So it looks like did he quest there with the Mickey Mouse, or did he attack with it?
I believe he quested.
So that would make him at 13 then?
I think he is at 12 right now currently.
12.
So it looks like we're at 9-12. Jerry is slowly but surely making his way back. Going to use that Captain Hook to put some damage on Elsa and then finish her off.
Yep, double into the Elsa.
Hook.
I mean,
kind of have to.
You have to, but a 2-for-1 never feels good.
It doesn't, but they are 1 cost. She is an 8 cost.
That
so
is very true.
In a way, I still feel very confident with that value out of them. I think those are kind of the things you look for with those Captain Hooks.
Gonna go to 13 here, questing with the Mickey Mouse.
Really putting a clock as soon as that Mickey came on board, because you have no choice. You have no choice but to deal with it, and the only way you can deal with it was with removal. And right now, the only removal that he's going to be hoping for is a smash and a grab your swords combo. And even then, with his limited ink resources and no singers on the board, it's going to be tough to get that off.
And we're down to 10 minutes in the round, so it's going to be really hard for Jerry to win a turn 3, or a game 3, excuse me. So we might be seeing a draw here for round 1.
That's one of the drawbacks to this combination of decks going against each other is more times than not it will end up in a draw unless somehow, some way Omar hopefully is going to turn this deck into the aggro machine that it can be in this third round if it gets to that third round.
That 5 willpower is really tough, though. You kind of need double swords plus Tink. The Mickey Mouse, and that's a 2-turn clock, so he kind of has to have an answer now if he's gonna turn this around.
And if I'm Omar, I mean realistically, I'm throwing the concede up and saying, hey, let's get to that third game.
Yeah,
we have 10 minutes left.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best option here, but we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You don't want to just, quote unquote, give up because you never know what could happen. And he might also be thinking, hey, we're not going to get through to game 3. If I don't win this game, we're going to draw either way. So
Yep.
I might just try and play this out.
Yeah. I don't see how you come back from that Mickey Mouse Brave Little Tailor, though, without the removal.
Oh, and then you got an Aladdin coming out. And so the Aladdin going to not only take away 2 lore, but then gain 2 lore.
Yeah,
so,
that's a 4 lore swing. That card
Huge.
is crazy once it starts resolving, which means you can no longer comfortably quest or challenge with anything on your side of the field until you get rid of that.
Yep, that's just a giant card. And I believe we also are having the shield. We have the pocket watch. There's just so much on the field going in Jerry's favor.
Oh, we have the smash and we have the sword. So
That's good.
This is what the kind of stuff that Omar needs if he's going to turn this around.
Almost able to get the Aladdin out with that swords. That would have been huge for him to be able to take that out.
He does still have the hook.
Yep, I think. And
we got the big Tink. Okay, so
great play.
This is what Omar needed. We're dealing with 19 lore. That was very lucky. It's awesome. Let's see if he can turn this around here.
He's going to quest with that hook, so he's going to bring himself up to 12 lore. Luckily, the only thing that Jerry has on the field right now doesn't have the ability to have lore, so he had to swing with it. And with Maui taking out Ariel, and now he's going to play the Rafiki and take out Captain Hook. So now he has the lore he needs on the board and also diminishing.
And the Dragonfire.
Huge play.
Omar has the Fire of the Cannons, which will deal 2 damage, but with the 1 damage that Rafiki took from attacking Hook, that will kill.
It's going to be so hard for him now with that 0 momentum to be able to come back from that. That's going to be a rough one.
The unfortunate thing, I think, of Cauldron, that's going to be it.
100%.
The Cauldron mirror combo is just going to give Jerry that support that he needs. You're never in fear top deck mode at that point, and I think it is the right choice to scoop up here. We only have 8 minutes left in the round, so it's going to be curious to see if we can have a winner here or if it's simply going to end in a draw.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. If I'm Omar in this one, I'm turning the turbos on. I'm going full NOS. I'm clicking the button, and I'm trying to just get turn 3 Rockstar and turn everything sideways as fast as possible, and just fingers crossed hope for the best.
And I think that's really what he went for, but unfortunately, every time he did that, Jerry had the Be Prepared or the Dragonfire.
100%.
I think he Dragonfired 2 different Rockstars that game. So
it's just a prime example of both of these decks and why they're both at the very tip top of the meta, because both of them at one point or another in both games had the advantage, had the lead, and then they were able to trade off, trade back, and in both you see just these really great plays able to come out, very very good combos, very high high intelligence plays. I love to see that. I love to see Omar playing stuff like the Hades that we don't see as often, stuff that we can see combos that maybe will be even more effective going forward, but it's definitely stuff I don't use in my current games.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we see with that Hades, like, that really was a make or break for both the games there, I think. Just missing all that ink was not good for Omar. But game 1, it really did hit. And that was a big, big reason why he was able to cross that finish line, even after Jerry got set up in game 1. So, unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be enough time here for game 3. But
such a small amount of time. I know in my local tournaments, if it's down to the last 5 minutes before shops close, we're going fast. Whoever just gets more lower on the board, we're not attacking or anything.
Yeah.
But I don't see that happening here. I think we're going to take the draw and just hope that our next games kind of are able to push us forward there.
The only thing I can see is I could see Omar winning here if he can get like a turn 3 Rockstar.
100%. There's still a chance if he can just turbo through this. It's just going to be it's really not to steal from a different game, but he's got to trust the heart of the cards for sure.
For sure. We do have him inking a hook here, playing the Stitch New Dog, which is the first step towards that. Shield of Virtue, not super exciting in this aggressive turn 3 here, game 3, but we'll see what happens.
We are seeing a little bit of faster play out of them, so they definitely know that the time is coming to a close, and it's definitely going to be make or break. So
Quest for 1 here from Omar, going to 1 lore. Going to discard that Beast off Sim, but yeah, I completely agree with you. You can definitely tell that they're speeding up. They know the pressure that they're under.
100%. We're gonna go ahead and ink the Goofy.
Now I'm noticing that there's not a ton of inkables in Jerry's hand. He has double Dragonfire, Elsa, so if he runs into a situation like Omar ran into at the beginning of last game, and Omar's able to just kind of pop off here, we might actually see a win from Omar before the timer runs out.
He's putting a work in. He's already at 3 lore, and there's no challenge for another 3 unless he's got a Rafiki or something in the hand. And then he's got the Grab Your Sword, so he does have some answers already, which is great. That's a really good pull out of Arrow. You love to see that. Going to play the Maleficent, so the Grab Your Swords will go ahead and take her out if he chooses to play it.
Going to draw off that Maleficent, which is always good, but...
Ink the Be Our Guest. And then we are going to go ahead and play... Oh, Stitch Rockstar Shift
Turn
on 4. That's big. That's exactly what we need
Stitch.
to see.
That's what you want.
And he's got to fire the cannons in hand. This is such a good... Oh, he's going to go ahead and sing the Grab Your Swords, though. That's an interesting play. I would have probably opted to play the Fire Your Cannons. Oh, but he had
to use all 4 ink.
That's right.
Yeah, he's just, playing that Swords on turn 4. He's going full aggressive. He's already at 7 lore. I mean, that's what you kind of have to do under these time crunches.
Less than 5 minutes left. If he's able to pull this out in less than 5 minutes, this is going to be amazing. That is such a perfect pull so far.
Now, next turn, Jerry is going to be able to play a Dragonfire on something, which might be just enough.
It was definitely going to stop the Stitch, but is he going to be able to go wide enough on this? Is he going to be able to get enough 1-drops right here with that Stitch, which is, I'm assuming, what he's hoping for. He's going to ink another Rockstar Stitch. He's just going to turn sideways. He knows the clock, and he's just trying to get through it. So we've got another 5 on the board, so he's putting himself at 12. Yep, that's a big play still.
Doesn't play anything, though. That's a very interesting...
I believe he only has a giant Tinkerbell in his hand and a Fire the Cannon, so playing either... You can't play the Tinkerbell, and Fire the Cannons just wouldn't have any effect right now, so I think he's kind of locked in.
That makes sense, then. Okay. So, unfortunately, if he doesn't draw an Inkable here... Oh, he does draw the Aerial.
Okay. Is he going to play...
He does.
Nice.
Okay, so he's probably maybe Whole New World?
That's what I would be hoping for. And he gets... Is that a Grab Your Sword?
No, I think that was a Beast.
Okay.
So he does whiff here. Not what you want, but okay, gonna just turn sideways for 3. He's at 15. I mean...
2, I think. Because he just put that Aerial
Yes, that's right.
down. Yep.
I always forget the Aerial only quests for 1, but...
No. Oh, man, if she quested for 2,
yeah, that'd be
would
crazy.
Be crazy.
14, but yeah, still, I mean... Does Jerry have a Be Prepared? He does, so...
Ooh, so he's got a 2-turn clock. It's just... Oh, man, it's gonna be rough. That's just going to be so close. Going to play the Maleficent out. All right, and he's going to pass the turn, draw the card off Maleficent and pass the turn. Then we're going to get, we have another Tinkerbell, so we could double shift the Tinkerbells if needed. But we're not going to, because we're going to fire the cannons, get rid of the enemy, and then we're going to go ahead and put 3 more on the board for 17.
They have it, but we know he does.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be so close. We're down to less than 3 minutes.
thinking about Brave Little Tailor is interesting, but
it's got to be prepared right here, right?
Yeah, it has to be. I mean,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you have no options.
Yeah.
You're facing lethal. Fortunately for Jerry, he's playing for the draw here.
He does have some. He's got some answers on the board with the Tinkerbell, but that's 2 turns away from being anything that he could deal with, and hopefully there's not another removal in Jerry's hand.
I think he does have a Dragonfire if I just saw it correctly.
That's going to stall him out.
He's going to ink the Mickey.
Going to go 8.
Oh, Elsa. Even better.
2 minutes, 20 seconds left. This is coming down to the wire here.
If Jerry's going to put any kind of pressure on the board in these 2 minutes, something like an Elsa that quests for 3 with a good stat line is going to be what you want.
Going to pull that
Ooh,
Hades.
that Hades could be make or break in this game. Going to grab, I'm assuming, Rockstar. Yep, there we go. That could be it, folks. But he does have a second Elsa in hand. Jerry does.
Oh, my goodness. So he's not going to be able to get any questing power out of either ones. It's just going to be the Rockstar.
Does he waste it here, though, and use it on Tink and Hades? Because that's lethal next turn.
He has to, I think, because there's no. At that point, you're putting yourself in too much of risk. You got to get rid of those.
Well, you have to get rid of something because otherwise you lose.
Well, one was already locked up, so I think with that other Elsa, now we've locked them both up.
I think he re-locked up Tink though. So
yes, yeah.
But we just got the Rockstar, and does he have the Dragonfire? Is the question. If he does, I think it's just a draw.
Oh, we have 1:30 seconds. We're getting down to the weeds. We're trying to make some tough decisions, but we have to make them quickly.
Big Tink.
It's going to put 1 damage. Really hoping to get just enough time to get that Stitch out. Almost 60 seconds down.
Though Jerry has to challenge into this because he's facing lethal otherwise. Though I'm pretty sure he does have the Dragonfire.
I think he's just gonna go ahead and because I'm not sure he's gonna quest for 6, so he's probably gonna be prepared here.
You have no other option because they're gonna quest for lethal next turn. So
he's gonna use 3 to untap and then sing be prepared. Oh my God!
What a combo!
That was huge.
What a combo!
That was a huge combo.
Playing out Goofy, and he does have the Dragonfire in hand. He's
gonna play the Stitch out. Oh my gosh!
30 seconds left. I think that we might see a draw here.
Oh my goodness! What a play! That was massive.
Shield of Virtue, man. Like that card is like
underrated.
Underrated for sure. And the third Elsa.
Oh my God! Oh no! That is a crazy stall.
So we have 5 on board. If he plays another character next turn, that's a 2-turn clock. But I think
5 seconds left. I don't think there's enough time. Oh no! Wow, that was such a crazy game. I think with time ended right there, that is gonna go ahead and end us in a draw. Man, what a round! I'd be okay if they just played it out just for funsies. I want to see how this one ends, but man, that was a
Dragonfire.
crazy. He's gonna Dragonfire and he's gonna do the quest.
Does he have the extra? He needs to play
quest for 5.
He's 1 short though. Does he have
14?
anything? If he even has like an Archimedes.
I wonder if there's anything he could.
He has the Rafiki.
Oh my goodness!
And this is it. If Omar has no response this turn,
so that's gonna put him at.
They just called time.
All right, now that's time right there. So it looks like they're just a little bit off on our timer, but right there, that's going to put us at a draw. So unfortunately, with how...
Plus 5 turns.
We do have plus 5 turns here. Okay,
cool.
Okay. So I think Jerry might have it. Yeah, he does.
Wow.
Jerry pulling out the win at the last second.
What a comeback. I didn't see that happening at all. That is a complete testament to that deck. That's crazy. That's insane.
Man, Elsa Goofy coming in at the third Elsa. That's crazy,
That
man.
was the first round? That's insane.